Welcome back to Championship Court. You are getting a good look at the 4 mixed doubles players, the 4 pros that we have coming up momentarily. We are going to see 4 people who, if you are immersed in the pickleball world, will need no introduction. Matt Wright and Lucy Kovalova. They're going to be on the near side of your screen. And on the far side of your on the far side of your screen in a moment, you're going to see Tyson McGuffin. Here he is entering the court, top right of your screen. And his partner, Leigh Waters. Not to be confused with Annalie Waters, who we just watched along with partner Kyle Yates take down the favorites, Simone Jargin and Ben Johns. Annalie is in the stands now watching Mom and Tyson McGuffin get ready to take on Kovalova and Wright. This is going to be a great match. I expect a lot of power here. Let's get to it. Game on. Kovalova catches Waters in the face. Told you we're going to see some power here. Heads up. Overhead smash from McGuffin leads to another high ball that Waters is able to hit hard. Right. Kovalova not able to defend and get that ball back in play. Height is such a factor in pickleball. Having Kovalova and Wright together, that is a tall order. 0-1-2 is the score. McGuffin and Waters looking to try to get on the board here. There we go. Drive from McGuffin, handled nicely by Kovalova, who's able to counterattack right at the body of Waters. She can't handle it. 1-0-1. Matt Wright serving. McGuffin gets handcuffed. That ball sits up high. Lucy Kovalova knows exactly what to do, and she gets a high ball like that. 2-0-1. Wright puts so much topspin on those drops, really uses his hand and wrist to create the spin. Hopefully for him to get that ball then to dip down quickly after it crosses the net before it can be attacked by his opponent. Speaking of attacking, that is a nice counter-attacking backhand volley from Mr. Wright into the open court. (3-0-2). Looks like the serve is just a little bit long. That's going to be a side out. Waters and McGuffin take over serving. They're looking to get on the board here in this first frame. The PPA Championship brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. McGuffin rates that forehand volley very highly. One of the things you'll really notice if you're paying attention at home is that players, when they get those high balls, they are so good at putting the ball down into the ground. Yes, with some speed, but the speed's not going to be the main thing. It's going to be the trajectory that ball's hit on, being put down into the dirt where it's so tough to defend. 1-3-1. Make that 2-3-1. Waters and McGuffin, nice to get on the board. Notice how aggressive McGuffin is at the net, even with Waters at the back defending. 3-3-1 is the score. Annalie Waters serving to Lucy Kovalova. And with that ball in the net, that's going to be a side out. Matt Wright, look for a pretty heavy topspin serve coming from him. Tries to get it deep, not necessarily to win the point, but if he can get a shorter return like he did there, he'll have a chance to drive. But that defense and that net play is too good from Waters. Three, 3-2. There's that drive again we talked about. This combination here, and Matt Wright has an excellent overhead smash. Well defended by Waters and McGuffin. Nicely played by Kovalova. She finds the left hip of Waters. Not able to defend. That ball goes to the side of the court.
This is another call for the women's doubles 4-0-19 plus. To your player orientation, again, attendance is required, ladies. This happens behind the championship court. Yeah!
Matt Wright finds the seam right between McGuffin and Waters. He's going to be happy with that outcome. Ball goes just a little bit wide. Right idea, you can see McGuffin supporting his partner there. Looks like they're going to take a quick hydration break. We're going to take a hydration break as well. This is brought to you by Jigsaw Health, and we're going to be back with more from game number 1 in Las Vegas. Back to the action here on championship court. Lucy Kovalova getting ready to serve to Tyson McGuffin. 6-3-2. Kovalova and partner Wright add another one to their total. They're at 7-3-2. That's a tough forehand drive from Kovalova. Miscommunication there between Kovalova and Wright, both going for that ball over the middle of the court. We're going to try to get their signals uncrossed. It's not such a big problem when you're up with a margin, but those signals still seem to be crossed. Let's see if third time's a charm here. Gotta think that Waters and McGuffin are gonna try to go through the middle again, see if they can get a third point because of a miscommunication. Look at that defense. Wow. Great anticipation by McGuffin, who thought that Wright would be hitting that overhead smash out to the sideline. We call that an inside out. McGuffin reads it well, gets out there, defends. They're at 4-7-2. Kovalova gets a little help with the top of the net there. McGuffin can't believe it. He felt he was ready. He was set up to defend. Seven, 4-1. Wright, Kovalova trying to add to their lead here with that return of serve that's just a little bit deep. McGuffin slicing that backhand return, forcing Wright to hit up and play a drop. It's often how these dinking rallies begin. Wright was ready there on the backhand side, just hit a little too high over the net. That ball doesn't dip down. It's going to lead to the second server for Kovalova. Again, looks like that ball caught off the top of the net, sailed long. That's going to be a side out. You got to think McGuffin and Waters are pretty happy about that, to be able to get the ball back in their hands quickly. Ball actually catches off the right foot of McGuffin, giving Waters no chance to make a play on it, even though she was there with her two-handed backhand. 4-8-2 is what we're looking at. Ball catches the net. Watch McGuffin look to really generate a lot of topspin here. He often uses his legs to really sort of sit and stand into the ball, hope to get some power, hope to get a little bit of that arc and that spin that he needs to keep that fast-moving ball stay in the court. Looking for a drive-poach combination there. McGuffin likes the play. Waters just hit a little bit too high. 8-6-1. Kovalova serving. Kovalova so good with those 1-2 punches, able to counterattack and then be ready for the high ball, which she puts away. That's going to be a timeout called by McGuffin and Waters. We're going to take a quick hydration break ourselves. You know this by now. It's brought to you by Jigsaw Health.
Hey, Liz.
We are back live on Championship Court. You're looking at Lucy Kovalova, who's getting ready to serve to Tyson McGuffin. Scores 9-6-1 here in game number 1 of the PPA Championship, brought to you by Guaranteed Rate here in Las Vegas, Nevada. With that ball in the net, Matt Wright will prepare to serve. Still really have McGuffin and Waters under pressure. Here's the drive. McGuffin not able to handle, and that is why a deep return is so important in pickleball, so that it forces your opponents back so you have more time to handle those fastballs. Sets up our first game point. 10-6-2. Nicely done by Waters. That Kovalova dink sits up a little bit too high. It gets attacked. It gets attacked by Waters. She does a good job with that. She's going to take over serving and try to stay alive here. And with that, 7-10-1. McGuffin looking to poach. Ball was too far away. (7-10-2). McGuffin looking to do something constructive. Hits that serve hard. Well returned by Kovalova. Waters not able to make the drop. That's going to be a side out. And we've got game point again, folks. 10-7-1. Kovalova looking to close out game number 1. Great drive, well handled. Wright and Kovalova being very aggressive here. That's going to bring them game number 1. They've got the lead here, folks. We're going to take a quick commercial timeout. We're going to be back with more from the PPA Championship in Las Vegas, Nevada, brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. We are back live on Championship Court here at the PPA Championship. If you've been watching, you saw Matt Wright, Lucy Kovalova take game number 1 against Tyson McGuffin and Leigh Waters. And like we saw earlier, Leigh Waters is serving here at the start of game number 2. Ball gets in tight against Matt Wright. And already an early come on from McGuffin. That tells you he's engaged. He cares about this match. Lucy Kovalova, a little bit too much juice on that forehand.
All right, attention women's doubles 3-5, 19 plus. It's now time for your player orientation. Attendance is required. This happens just behind the tournament desk, which is on the south.
Just a reminder, if you'd like to join us here at the Darling Tennis Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, there are still tickets available. Head over to ppatour.com. We would love to see you this weekend, whether it's later today for more of this great mixed doubles action, or to see you on Saturday when we're going to be talking about men's and women's doubles. And then, of course, PPA Special, Championship Sunday. We're going to see the best of the best face off for gold. Third shot lob, fifth shot lob, seventh shot lob. This is the ninth shot lob. The 11th shot lob. Lands in. Kovalova Wright coming to the net. My, how the tables have turned. Ball goes just wide. It's not too often you see that many lobs consecutively, but you know what? A lot of room here at the Darling Tennis Center. Unlimited sky, a little bit of breezy up there. Wright and Kovalova gave themselves a chance to win there. Wright's topspin forehand goes a little bit wide. That's going to be a side out. Matt Wright so good going from backhand to forehand, able to put that ball away just outside of the reach of Waters. 2-1-2. Matt Wright not able to handle that Leigh Waters forehand drive. She gives a fist pump to partner McGuffin. Often the communication between the points is a good indicator of what's going on between the ears, whether a team has confidence, whether they believe that they can win this, whether they can come back. Looks like that ball stays just in. Matt Wright's going to be happy with it as he gets the side out. He's going to be serving. And again, look for him and Kovalova to hit these third shots pretty hard, especially if the return sits up a bit high. Kovalova goes for the drop from well behind the baseline, not able to gauge the distance just right. Matt Wright's forehand volley finds the net. So one of the reasons why you see players speed things up quickly against their opponents, giving your opponent less time to react. It's usually a pretty good idea, especially compared to giving them more time to react, set up and prepare. McGuffin gets a little bit lucky early. The ball clips off the top of the net, sits up high for him, but he's not able to capitalize and win the rally. Waters takes over serving. Watch out. McGuffin takes that ball in the back of the calf. That one's going to leave a mark. 1-3-1 is the score. Matt Wright lays it in there. Kovalova, last time from that position on the court, she tried the drop, missed it. This time she tried the drive, did not have a better result. Matt Wright was looking to poach on that ball after a good drive from Kovalova, but realized it was going to sail out and was better to let it go. 2-3-2.
All right, this is an important announcement because we have a car that's about to be towed. If you parked in the roundabout in the fire zone, it's a black, brand new Ford Edge. It's about to
3-2-1, McGuffin serving.
on a tow truck. So we need you to move your car.
Leigh Waters not pleased with herself after missing that drop wide. The wind is gusting a little bit here at the Darling Tennis Center. So oh, that's a miscommunication between McGuffin and Waters. They cannot afford getting mixed up like that. So one of the things that you might do at home if you're watching pickleball and thinking about should I play drops or drive is to consider the wind conditions. Drops are tough enough to play perfectly as it is, and when you throw in some wind on top of that, they can be even tougher. Typically what players will do when it starts to get breezier, especially when the wind is swirling, is they'll say, you know what, we're not going to take so much risk and play these third shot drops. We'll often just look to hit the ball hard on that third shot instead. Let's see what Kovalova and Wright decide to do here. McGuffin Waters happy to come away on top after that exchange. That ball sails just a little bit long off the Kovalova backhand. 3-2-1. Interesting to note that Tyson McGuffin seems to have made some adjustments to his serve. Doesn't use quite as deep a knee bend as he has in the past, and actually seems to use a slightly more open stance when he's serving, which is interesting. That ball finds the court, and that's going to lead to the second server. 3-2-2. Leigh Waters to serve. Kovalova so good at creating topspin on that forehand when that ball is low. Even if you do play the ball, it's going to skid off the ground or skid off the paddle if you're playing it as a volley. Very tough to handle. There's that great two-handed backhand defense. Able to get one ball back and force McGuffin to play another one, but not quite the second. There's those drives that we talked about in these slightly gusty conditions. Good idea to go hard at your opponent, and especially if they sort of struggle with that first ball, to keep the pressure on, keep going at that person. We saw Matt Wright do a nice job of it there. McGuffin able to get the first ball back, but not the second. Kovalova so tough with that 1-2 combination, stepping on the gas, causing trouble. Really not giving you a chance to breathe, even if you get that first ball back. Kovalova's drop sit up a bit too high. Can they reset and get back in the point? No. That right backhand finds the net. And with that, we have a side out. If you're just joining us, my name is Mark Renison. I'll be with you all weekend long as we watch some great pro pickleball action here at the PPA Championship, brought to you by Guaranteed Rate. We're in Las Vegas, Nevada at the beautiful Darling Tennis Center, which for tournaments such as this one converts into a pickleball center. McGuffin having to work very hard there, keeping that ball in play. Finally, the direction gets changed. Waters not able to recover and get the ball back in the court.
At the south side of the championship court, attendance is required. 5:19:35 plus. Please report to player orientation. Report next to the flag that reads player orientation.
Waters needs to get that ball down a little bit lower if they're going to successfully reset. Same goes for McGuffin. It's going to be tough to do it off of these overhead smashes from Wright. That ball catches off the top of the net and hits Matt Wright, the former Michigan Wolverine, in the right knee. One of the things I love about pickleball is the way that a team can really seem like they've got their back against the wall and somehow find a way to get back in the point and then to go on to win it. The ball goes a little long. Wright called it, communicated with his partner that it was going to go out. But Kovalova, pretty sure she had that one lined up already and was quite certain she wanted nothing to do with that ball. Look at McGuffin taking up space in the middle of the court, forcing Kovalova to really play that ball wide if she's going to avoid him. Of course, when she gets a high ball in her forehand like that, she's more than happy to hit right to him. This time getting him right in the midsection. Wright reads the angles well. Two-handed backhand to defend. Kovalova may have been better to play a drop there. The ball was pretty low. Reset the point. Get back up to the net. 5-4-2. Tight second game here after Wright and Kovalova took game number 1, 11-7. Leigh Waters does a good job with those high forehands, finding the gap between Kovalova and Wright, especially getting the ball down low. Kovalova swinging backhand, can't quite catch up to that Waters forehand pass through the middle. One of the things to watch if you're at home is pay attention to the amount of movement you see from the players' paddles as they're hitting the ball, especially when they're hitting slower balls like a drop or a dink, even a defensive volley. Watch how little paddle movement you actually see. Keeping the paddle face compact, keeping the movement minimal, increases the chance of stability when you make contact that you can hit in the center of the paddle. Also makes it a little bit easier to control exactly where you hit it. When you've got a little more time to take a wind up, then you can do so, but especially on those softer balls, you're going to see really compact paddle movements. Nice paddle movement there from Kovalova with the two-handed backhand, defending against that ball through the middle, hitting for a winner. 6-6-2, game number 2. Wright swats that high backhand away. Six, 6-1. McGuffin reaches across the middle, attacks with that forehand. Kovalova had tried to line it up. She saw what was coming, but she just couldn't quite keep the ball low enough to keep it in play. We got 6-6-2. McGuffin Waters trying to stay alive, trying to extend this to a third and decisive game. Yeah! Kovalova doesn't miss that one. Matt Wright. Pretty pumped up about that, Matt, right? 7-6-2.
That's so good.
There it is again from Kovalova. Looks like that's going to be a timeout for McGuffin and Waters. We're going to take a quick hydration break ourselves. This is brought to you by Jigsaw Health, and we're going to be back with the conclusion of game number 2 here in Las Vegas.
All right, everybody, let's
Dorothy, I really think.
Welcome back to Championship Court. Mark Renison here Enjoying some great mixed doubles pro action. You're watching Lucy Kovalova and Matt Wright forcing McGuffin and Leigh Waters to take a timeout. Back to the action here. And back where we left off with Kovalova and Wright. Putting a lot of pressure on McGuffin and Waters. 9-6-2, 2 points away from winning this match. For the angle from McGuffin. Goes right through the middle, hard to the forehand of Wright. He tries to counterattack, but mistimes it. That ball goes out. Waters going to try to serve here and score a few points for her team. The ball drifts just a little bit to the right of the court. 6-9-2, McGuffin to serve. McGuffin has to be very aggressive there. Thought for a second about stepping back and letting that ball come to him. Instead, he sort of lunges forward, gets that ball when it's still high. He can attack with speed when that ball is elevated. 7-9-2. Waters tried to catch the forehand hip of Matt Wright, not able to do so. He deftly gets out of the way. Ball goes long. Wright is serving now, 9-7-1. Well played offensive lob. Well played offensive lob by Matt Wright. Able to push McGuffin off the net. That's going to set up match point here. And before that match point, there's going to be a timeout. We're going to stay here with it because we want to make sure we can catch all the action here. Match point. Remind you about a few things coming up. You are going to want to join us here at the Darling Tennis Center in Las Vegas, Nevada, if you can. Head over to ppatour.com to get your tickets. We've got great men's and women's doubles action happening tomorrow, as well as Championship Sunday, where you get to see the gold medal matches.
Jay DeVilliers and Jesse Irvin taking on Vegas's very own AJ Kohler and Lauren Stratman immediately following this match. Stay tuned for another great back-to-back match.
I just hear the announcer right now, so I pause for a second. After the conclusion of this match, we've got another great pro mixed doubles match. We've got Jesse Irvin and Jocelyn DeVilliers coming out here, and he's going to be taking on hometown boy AJ Kohler, along with Lauren Stratman. That's going to be a fun one to watch. You're going to want to stay with us here. In the meantime, we're back to the action. It's a match point on the paddle of Mr. Matt Wright. With that Kovalova forehand dink into the net, that's going to become her serve. Still a match point here. Kovalova can end things right now, 10-7-2. And it looks like in that case we had the wrong returner in play. Should have been McGuffin returning that serve from the right side. That is a disappointing way to end that match. Disappointing for the fans for sure. Kovalova and Wright, they're not disappointed. They are happy to come through the victory. A round of applause for them. They're giving a round of applause back to the crowd. We're going to be back with more great pro mixed doubles action. Coming up, AJ Kohler, Lauren Stratman, Jesse Irvin, and Jocelyn DeVilliers coming up next. Stay close. Bye.